All rise. He's Jamal Spencer.
And he's Mark Skoll Jr. Sports Court is in session. Welcome to another edition of Sports Court. During the Detroit Tigers opening day, Miguel Cabrera came out to throw the first pitch. Here's a picture. He was joined by Ben Wallace, Calvin Johnson, and Nicholas Lidstrom, three of the all-time greats in the history of Detroit pro sports. And that got us wondering, who's on the Mount Rushmore of Detroit pro sports? I think the two easiest choices are from the Lions, it's Barry Sanders, the greatest running back of all time, bar none. From the Pistons, you got to go with the two-time NBA champ who helped revolutionize the franchise, Bad Boys, Isaiah Thomas, one of the best little guys to ever do it. I think those two are probably the easiest picks. It's a little trickier when you get into hockey because obviously there's two key names that you could go with the Red Wings, and I'm gonna pick the captain, Steve Yzerman, who was the captain in the NHL longer than anybody else, helped bring the franchise back to the glory days, brought the team 3 Stanley Cups, won a gold medal with Canada. Steve Yzerman gets my nod. And the final spot from the Tigers, Mr. Tiger, Al Kaline. Nobody wore the English D as long as he did. He won the '68 World Series with the Tigers. Al Kaline belongs on the Mount Rushmore of Detroit pro sports.
Jamal, it's really hard to argue with your points. I'm agreeing with Isaiah Thomas and Barry Sanders, by the way. But with hockey, with the Red Wings, I got to go with Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey. So one of the best to ever do it. He played in 5 different decades, scored over 800 goals, is third all-time in scoring in the NHL. It's got to be Gordie Howe. Steve Yzerman is great, but Gordie Howe, oh my gosh, 5 different decades. And then for me, for the Tigers, I got to go Ty Cobb. I know he played a long time ago, but he's got the second most hits of all time. He's got the highest batting average ever. I think he should be the real Mr. Tiger.
Ty Cobb still holds a lot of baseball records. He holds a lot of Tigers records. He holds a record for stolen bases, doubles, triples, obviously hits. Ty Cobb is high on that benchmark. But how can you give a spot to a guy that didn't play when baseball was an inclusive game? I mean, do you really think that Ty Cobb played against the best ball players of his era if they were excluding who could play at that time?
You're putting me in a tough situation here.
I want to see how you answer that, Mark. Go ahead. How do you answer this, Mark?
You don't say Babe Ruth wasn't one of the greatest baseball players of all time because he played in that time period as well. Ty Cobb played a long time in Detroit. While he never did win a World Series like Mr. Tiger, he was just an unbelievable player that everyone always talks about. He's not just one of the greatest players in Detroit sports history, but in MLB history. What's your verdict? Go to Facebook and comment so we can mention what you have to say next week.
Last week, we asked if Michigan fans should be worried with 3 starters leaving, and most said yes.
Tom pointed out it's making things hard on the team, hard to develop young players with turnover all the time, hard to get chemistry with new players chasing NIL money.
True that. And Dave looked at the bright side. He's Mr. Brightside. Anytime you have 3 starters leaving, it should be concerning. On the other hand, U of M wasn't exactly the greatest team last season. Might give them the opportunity to do a bit of a reset.
And next week, we'll reset with more of your comments. For now, Sports Court is adjourned.